Insanity supercharged Chevy-powered roadster out of Milwaukee. He'll set the pace for qualifying for a 4-car field. On the brakes hard. Insanity it is. Acker stops within 2 feet of the 80-foot disqualification mark. Full throttle right to the finish line, then hard on the brakes. The elapsed time for the Insanity Roadster, 1.860 seconds. That'll give him the #1 spot. The next machine on the line, the brand new winged Dragonfly of Todd Rovac. The supercharged Chevy-powered Love Truck lines up. On the brakes hard, but he touches the disqualification banner. We're talking about a DQ by less than 6 inches. Rovac throws away the quickest run of his life at 1.81 seconds. And look at him in the cockpit. He knew exactly what happened. A disqualification throws him out. Larry Jarrett in the locomotion, 2-time winner of this event, may well be the killer. The Perry, Oklahoma-based supercharged Chevy is always tough. He holds the track record at 183. Brakes again. Jarrett way out of bounds, and the second straight disqualification, as stopping appears to be a bigger problem than acceleration. Watch the wheels up launch. Full power to the finish line, then hard on the brakes. Jarrett throws away a 1.81 second run himself. It would have been another new track record and #1 qualifier, but he's history. That'll bring out Melvin Brown's Blue Max out of the state of Ohio, one of 2 different machines that he campaigns. This one, a nitrous oxide injected Jeep funny car. Brown hits the binders, and he'll stop in time. No disqualification here. The Blue Max Jeep, 2.15 seconds, and that'll qualify him right now for the 4-car field. On the replay, you can see a decent amount of traction, but apparently Melvin Brown was feathering the throttle at the finish line. That's exactly what he wanted. Arms outstretched, he wanted to stay in bounds. The #2 team in the 1989 World Championship Series, it's the Sturken brothers from Holland, Michigan, and their supercharged Chevy Love truck called Ground Zero. A small block Chevy engine, one of the more powerful in the sport in this vehicle. And major problems for Sturken, and you get a good look at just how deep that 80-foot long pit is, 36 inches. And when you lose power, you go down like the Titanic. The finish line timers stop the machine on the run nonetheless at 2.40 seconds. The next machine up, Todd Marion's beautiful Expect No Mercy supercharged Jeep CJ. This one is tough. Marion hard on the brakes, and he'll stop it within 5 feet. The independent from the Midwest, 2.06 seconds for another small block GM-powered machine, and that will give us a bump spot now of 2.40 seconds. That's the number that any other driver will have to eclipse to get into the 4-car field. Marion seems happy with the 2.06 second run, but here's Tony Ferrotti out of Detroit, Michigan. The Let's Boogie supercharged winged street roadster, a Ford from the 1927 model year. He stops it in time. 2,000 horsepower put to perfect use for Rody in the Let's Boogie. 1.89 seconds. That will give him the #2 qualifying spot. An incredible run for the Detroit campaigner. He won't have to worry about engine damage. That's merely steam coming off the hot exhaust headers after that wet mud gets all over him. So right now, it'll put Melvin Brown, #4 in this field of the Blue Max, at 2.15 seconds. But coming up to the starting line, another driver with more than enough power. Past world record holder, many-time national event winner, and #2 in the world last year, Jim Weber from Milwaukee in the American-made supercharged Chevy-powered mud racer. A great run. Can he stop it? He does with no problems. A great pass for Weber, and he knows at full throttle to the finish line. The elapsed time, 1.83 seconds. 1.830 seconds will take the pole and tie Larry Jarrett's existing track elapsed time record. Weber has got to be thrilled with that one. Rick Brickeye, in the meantime, with the just passing through. Fuel-injected Jeep Funny is next. Brakes hard. He'll stop in time, but the machine did not appear to have the power up the starting line it needed. The elapsed time, 2.27 seconds. You can see tires spin off the starting line. That was the problem. Brickeye had the power. He just couldn't get it to the starting line mud. And that means that anybody coming up behind these guys is going to have a tough time getting in. But right now, the number one spot goes to Jim Weber in the American-made at 1.83 seconds. It takes a 2:06.9 just to qualify. Todd Marion's on the bump. That brings up this week's Power Drive. If you think the mud action is wild, you should have seen the man who currently holds the world elapsed time record at 1.683 seconds, Jeff Backer in the Insanity, at New York's Nassau Coliseum. He proved that record run was no fluke 2 weeks later by backing it up with this 1.687 second run. He is without a doubt the quickest mud racer in the world.
Power Drive is brought to you by Fruit, the essence of man. Come on, put it on.
We're in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma for the continuation of qualifying for the U.S. Hobbit Association Super Modified Mud Racers. And coming to the line is the three-time and defending world champion, Tom Martin and the Super Trooper. In the world of super modified mud racing, there are two basic engine combinations in the sport: supercharged engines and nitrous oxide injected engines. Both are attempts to gain as much oxygen input as possible into an internal combustion V8.
The nitrous oxide cars typically get all their power immediately right off the line, and that is a problem sometimes. A blower motor will build off the line and come on strong after it gets out of the gate.
A supercharger works quite simply. In a rubber drive belt that is connected from the crankshaft to the front of the supercharger spins rotors within the casing to force an air and fuel mixture into each of the 8 cylinders. That adds extra oxygen to each fuel and gas charge in the cylinder, and the objective, of course, is to make each charge a hotter, brighter, more powerful fire in the cylinder. Nitrous oxide injection works the same way, but slightly different in that oxygen is injected into the engine under pressure. The supercharger isn't needed in that the oxygen flows freely from a pressurized tank into the intake manifold and/or the cylinders themselves. Each different team has an idea of which system works best, but one thing is for sure in this season of super modified mud racing, more drivers are starting to switch to a supercharged power plant, and more are starting to leave nitrous oxide injection behind.
Well, I can't get the right power band that I want coming out of the starting line. It seems like they make too much horsepower coming out, and I just can't get it to come off the line without spinning the tires, and I think the blowers will help me out. You may have a hard track or a soft track, a line that goes away. You may want to use the nitrous jets, change the nitrous jets, and decrease or increase the horsepower. Whereas, a blower motor, you'll have a little more time, it's a little more involved, changing pulleys, so forth, but the nitrous jets are very easily changed.
Actually, we prefer to supercharge it because there's less parts really to go wrong. There's no solenoids to deal with, there's no nitrous bottles, there's no pressure, anything like that to deal with. Basically, what you have is a 3-inch belt that drives a blower, which turns some rotors, which just pushes the fuel and air into the motor.
The nitrous oxide injected car will get all its power right away. A lot of times that's a problem. You have to compensate for that accordingly. It used to be, whoever had the most power won, but you got to get the power band down and get the car hooked up all the way down the track.
It seems to indicate that the sport itself is changing from just a brute power sport to something that requires a little more intelligence.
That's right. You gotta be able to stage the car down the track and have it hook up all the way down and pull hard all the way.
And a supercharger will do it?
I hope so.
Right now, Martin is using nitrous oxide power, and he's ready. Martin shuts the engine down well before the finish line. He stopped in time, but that effort may have cost him dearly. He had to go 2.06 seconds to qualify. He runs 2.10 seconds. The three-time world champ will not qualify for the shootout field here in Oklahoma City, and he is upset. But keep in mind that earlier interview indicated that Martin may be thinking about switching from nitrous oxide to a supercharged power plant. In the meantime, another one of the nitrous oxide injection campaigners using extra oxygen injected right into that engine with Ford power. It's the rear-engined, short wheelbase Wild Cherry dragster. And big-time power problems for the nitrous-injected Ford wedge motor. The Bud-sponsored entry with obvious problems right off the starting line will not be a threat. The Wild Cherry machine at 2.61 seconds may have stopped in time, but the elapsed time during the 80-foot run itself was nowhere near enough needed to remain competitive. On the starting line is the machine that took Tom Martin to 3 straight world championships. This is the Mud Patrol 32 Chevrolet, now campaigned by his original sponsor, Paul Schaefer. It's his rookie year of competition, but he's already in the top 5 in the world point standings. Schaefer on the brakes hard. Stops it in time with only 4 feet to go. The Mud Patrol machine, believe it or not, 2.109 seconds, will not make the field. It has not been a good event for Tom Martin's double-barreled super-modified threat. That will bring up Iowa's Byron Tinkey. 2 national event wins last year on his way to a top 10 points finish. The Bad Habit supercharged Chevrolet trying to qualify. Spin now hard on the brakes. Tinkey stops it in time. The elapsed time, 1.842 seconds. And that's one of Byron Tinkey's best ever passes. He made it look effortless, stopping with an easy 6 feet to spare. That will qualify him in the program, bumping out Todd Marion. So now it takes a run of 1.89 seconds to get in. And here's the Ford-powered Thunderbird funny car of the Rancho Shock Absorber team and Mark Watros. The supercharged Ford hard on the brakes. He stops it within inches. The escape hatch comes open, but believe it or not, the run won't be good enough. 2.03 seconds, about a 1/10 of a second slower than what the Team Rancho boys needed to get in the field. Chad Miller and the Instant T supercharged roadster out of the state of Ohio moves up next. This car has the power to qualify. Lots of tire spin. So much, in fact, that Chad Miller was forced to get off the throttle or blow the engine. The RPMs were so high. You can hear it on the replay. The motor just zinging to the moon. And then the Instant T at 2.20 seconds will not be a threat. That's surprising for a young man who has picked up quite a few U.S. Hobbit Association national event wins. Larry D'Antoni and the Addicted to Mud machine, a winner recently at the New Orleans Superdome, ready for his attempt. D'Antoni puts it sideways, almost up on 2 wheels, but gets it stopped in time. The unfortunate part is that while he kept the machine under control in the shutdown area, there is just too much tire spin off the starting line for this machine to break into the 1 second zone. 2.16 seconds won't help the recent Superdome winner. D'Antoni will not qualify. We saw Melvin Brown in the Blue Max Jeep earlier. Here's his other machine, a supercharged rear-engine dragster out of Ohio called Red Heat. Keep in mind, Melvin put both these vehicles in the top 10 in the U.S. Hobbit Association standings last year. Beautiful run by Melvin Brown. Full throttle to the finish line. He stops it within about 6 feet. But again, it's not good enough. 2.10 seconds. You have to go quicker than 1.89 seconds to be a part of the 4-car shootout field. And Melvin Brown will not make it. So the 4 machines in qualifying that will make it into that shootout round. Number 1, the American-made of Jim Weber, 1.83 seconds, followed by a 1.84 by Byron Tinkey. All machines under 1.9 seconds. But coming up, Monster Trucks and Robosaurus. Don't go away. Super modified mud machines have qualified for the Quick 4 Camel Shootout to determine the overall champion. Number 1 qualifier, Jim Weber in the American-made at 1.83 seconds. Number 2, Byron Tinkey on a surprising 184 effort in the Bad Habit. Jeff Acker, the world record holder in Insanity at 186 is third. And number 4, Tony Ferrotti in the Let's Boogie Supercharged Roaster at 1.89 seconds. These 4 drivers now get 1 shot at that super modified mud pit. The elapsed time that is quickest wins the event, and Acker is the first man up as the first man to qualify in the first round. They'll run in the same order. The supercharged Chevrolet from Milwaukee, ready for his shot at the winning number. Shuts the engine down before the finish, and it works because he has room to stop. 80 feet to start, 80 feet to stop, and Acker sets the pace. The Insanity Machine, 2.168 seconds. That will now be the mark to beat for the other 3 drivers in this Camel Shootout. And Acker must know that that early shutoff cost him some time.
One of the mud racers making it to the shootout is Tony Ferrotti and Let's Boogie too. Tony, what's going to be your secret to success out there?
Well, hopefully getting a good start on the line and being able to stop. The track's pretty good shape tonight. Even though it looks a little muddy, the starting line's getting better.
People have been saying out in the audience, boy, it really looks sloppy out there.
Yeah, it looks that way, but the bottom's hard. If you get down to the bottom, you'll hook good and just hope to be able to stop.
Have you been doing any fine-tuning on this machine to make it run just that much better than your competitors?
Oh, yeah, we've always done that. You got to have an edge someplace, and you got to keep on top of it.
Who's going to be in the winner's circle?
Hopefully we will be tonight, but competition's stiff, and we'll find out in a little while.
We'll be keeping our eyes on Tony Ferrotti and Let's Boogie too.
He has come a long way in just a few years, originally campaigning one of the quicker full-body trucks in this sport. For the 1991 season, switching to this lightweight 1927 Ford Roadster with 2,000 supercharged Chevrolet horsepower. He must go quicker than 2.168 seconds. Full power to the finish line poles. He stops it within 3 feet. That's the way it's done. Beautiful power run and a perfect stop. The elapsed time, 2:09. That'll be good enough for the number 1 spot. 2.091 seconds for the Detroit racer.
Crew members of American Made have been making some last-minute adjustments to the vehicle as Jim Weber gets ready for the shootout. What's going to be your strategy, Jim?
We're changing it. Some of the things on the motor, we're putting more fuel into it, and we are also putting more timing into it to come out about 20 foot.
How's that track feel to you?
Track feels great.
What kind of strategy are you going to do when you get out there? Are you going to let it rip right off the line? You going to sink in the middle? What?
Right off the line. Right from the get-go. Right
and
on board.
And where do you think you're going to be finishing?
In the shootout, 1.
One would certainly think so. This guy's been in the winner's circle before, and this machine is equipped with one of the state-of-the-art fuel delivery systems in super modified mud racing. The mark to beat, 2.091 seconds. On the brakes, and again stopping with only 5 feet to spare. Weber may have been a little conservative down near the finish line, but it looks like it worked. The elapsed time, 1.903 seconds. That will take the number 1 spot.
Byron Tinkey and Bad Habit are one of the ones that's going to be out there in the shootout. Byron, what's going to be your strategy?
Put the pedal to the metal and hope that I can be faster than everybody else.
Now tell me a little bit more than that. What have you done to that machine to make it work better than these other guys?
Actually, we're kind of the underdog out of the ones that are out there, and we just hope my chassis outdoes what their motors will do.
Do you like the track here?
The track's pretty good. The starting line's not real good, and the shutdown line's getting real bad, but we'll be all right.
Jim Weber said just a few minutes ago that he's going to beat you.
He always thinks he's going to beat me. We'll find out in a few minutes.
Oh, sounds like a threat from Byron Tinkey and Bad Habit.
Don't underestimate this guy. He finished in the top 10 in the World Championship points race last year. He can do it. A lot of tire spin for the Iowa racer. He stops it in time, but now it's just a matter of whether or not he has clocked quicker than 1.903 seconds. The elapsed time for the bad habit, 1.94 seconds. And by 0.04 of a second, Tinkey's bad habit takes second. But the win goes to Milwaukee's Jim Weber. An incredible job for the American-made team, pulling out an incredible 1.90 second run, just slightly quicker than...